The US dollar has continued to strengthen against major currencies while European stocks have opened higher today. Locally, the JSE is marginally in the red with the rand slightly softer against the US dollar. Let's bring in now Lesedi Mabuza, who's from Sentio Capital. Lesedi, welcome back to Daytime Update. What's moving global and local markets today?
I would say at the moment what's currently moving global markets is a whole factor of things. So coming in today, you saw European markets edge higher, and this is due to investors kind of shrugging off the energy crisis that Europe is currently experiencing. And then even if you look at the US stocks, you did see the US also close higher, but this was on the back of positive announcements made in Asia, which saw Asian shares trade higher in the US. And coming to our markets are flat to high. There's no certain direction as to where they're going. And I think investors are awaiting a key speech that's coming out later today by US Federal Chair Jerome Powell. And I think the market will be actively listening to his guidance on more interest rate increases as they try to fight inflation. So we'll see when that announcement comes out.
Closer to home, Northern Platinum, the mining house, has now reported lower operating profit this amid the higher costs in the full year results. Take us through the performance.
So Northern, which is a South African platinum company, released their full year results. And in these results, we saw revenue increasing 4.4% to about 34 billion. And the group also mentioned that they experienced significant increases in operational costs across all their mines. And this resulted in a 20% increase in their per unit of refined platinum ounce, which obviously isn't good for operations. We saw operating profit decreasing 7.6%, and on top of the significant increases in operational costs, the group also experienced issues at one of their mines. The mine was called Boydendal Mine, and at this mine there was issues of social unrest from the community, and the mine also experienced less than expected output, which impacted overall operations. Mm-hmm. Therefore, we saw headline earnings per share decreasing by 3%. And just looking at the share price, it is down today, and there's no surprise with this result.
Let's talk about Grindrod. I beg your pardon. It's delivered a good earnings growth in the core business for the 6 months to the end of June, paid down debt and restored the interim dividend.
Yeah, so Grindrod is their main operation is logistics and ports for freights down in Durban. So you saw revenue increasing 31%, you saw earnings before interest, tax, depreciation and amortization increasing 37%, and headline earnings per share increasing by about 53%. Now the reason for this good performance is due to their core operations generating really good revenues and trading really well. The core operations are mainly the ports and terminals business, which is your freight and logistics business, as well as the Grindrod Bank, which is their business that they currently operate for now. Now, in these results, you did see ports and terminals increasing earnings growth by about 164%, and this was due to better volumes that they experienced at the ports. You also saw Grindrod Bank increasing earnings by about 63%, and this is due to a better interest rate environment, which was beneficial for the bank. But with Grindrod Bank, the group will be disposing of their bank, as in May they announced that they'll be selling it to African Bank for about 1.5 billion. And the reason for this disposal is the group was looking to focus more on the logistics side of the business.
And you mentioned African Bank. Let's talk about Ubank. African Bank now says it has been the successful bidder to acquire the majority of Ubank's disclosed assets and liabilities. It will also take on its workers on a going concern basis, which means what exactly?
So, as I said before, they are acquiring Grindrod Bank, and to add more scale to the African Bank business, they are looking to acquire Ubank's assets for about 80 million rand. And the reason why they want to buy Ubank's assets is Ubank is a very unique bank which has very strong presence within the mining community as well as the rural community, with about 47 million accounts. So African Bank believes that this is complementary to their already existing business and will also expand the group's footprint across South Africa. Now, the problem with Ubank is currently they are under curatorship, and the reason for them being placed under curatorship is that in May they were deemed, well, it was brought to light they didn't have adequate levels of capital compared to the industry norm, which is not good for a bank, obviously. And this is them being placed under curatorship is easy for Ubank to acquire them, and Ubank will be only acquiring the assets and the liabilities, and not Ubank as an entity. So currently, the transaction is awaiting approval of Treasury, but this is a positive acquisition for African Bank.
Lesedi Mabuza, thank you for your time as always.